It's 1967 in the USA. Join me for the first part of our journey back to a year that stands as a pivotal point in American history. From coast to coast, there was a whirlwind of change. People took to the streets protesting at the conflict in Vietnam and other social issues, demanding their voices be heard. The space race was in full swing, captivating the nation, while in the world of computers big things were on the horizon. TV gave us exciting new shows, and movies were challenging everything that had gone before. Groundbreaking music and fashion were at the center of an exciting revolution. The world was changing quickly, and the USA was at the very heart of this. So hang around and explore the beginning of this remarkable year. It's January 1967. What was going on? Tragedy struck on the 27th, with the Apollo 1 fire, claiming 3 astronauts' lives and forcing a safety overhaul in the space program. In music, The Human Be-In, an event held in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park polo fields, ignited the upcoming summer of love and the rise of psychedelic rock bands like the Grateful Dead and Jefferson Airplane. On TV, the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour premiered, which aired on CBS from 1967 to 1969. Hombre, a Western starring Paul Newman and directed by Martin Ritt, was released with critical success. The NFL championship took place on the 1st with the Green Bay Packers defeating the Dallas Cowboys in the Ice Bowl, one of the coldest games in NFL history. On the 15th, the inaugural Super Bowl, officially known as the AFL-NFL World Championship game, took place. The Green Bay Packers again emerged victorious, defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. This was shown simultaneously on CBS and NBC with an audience of 65 million. On the technological front, integrated circuits were becoming more powerful and reliable, and improved computer memory gave better performance. In fashion, we saw the continued dominance of the mod look. London's influence was still strong, with miniskirts getting shorter and bolder. So what was going on in February 1967? On the 10th, the 25th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified. This deals with presidential succession and disability, providing clarity on what happens if a president becomes incapacitated. The Buckinghams topped the charts with "Kind of a Drag." Before this, I'm a Believer by the Monkees had held the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 for several weeks. The U.S. Air Force conducted the first test flight of the Lockheed State Route 71 Blackbird, reaching speeds exceeding Mach 3. At the movie theater this month, you might have seen The St. Valentine's Day Massacre, a graphically violent gangster film directed by Roger Corman, which was a great success. The space race began to influence fashion, more directly incorporating metallic fabrics, futuristic silhouettes, and space-inspired accessories. March 1967 seemed quieter. However, opposition to the Vietnam War was growing, with protests and demonstrations occurring across the country with activists and students organizing rallies to demand an end to the war. The 8th saw the release of The Taming of the Shrew, directed by Franco Zeffirelli and starring Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. On the 11th, Love Is Here and Now You're Gone by the Supremes was at #1 in the Billboard Hot 100 chart. The NCAA Men's Division I basketball tournament culminated with UCLA, led by Lou Alcindor, later Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, winning the championship. Fashion was emphasizing youth culture, with teenagers and young adults driving fashion trends, with a focus on individuality and self-expression. It is April 1967, and spring is in the air. The anti-Vietnam War protests continued to make news, particularly the March on the Pentagon organized by the National Mobilization Committee. On the 15th, another massive demonstration took place in New York City and San Francisco, with over 300,000 people. On the 22nd, the Big Mac was introduced into McDonald's restaurants and sold for 45 cents. The movie The Dirty Dozen premiered on the 7th, starring Lee Marvin, Ernest Borgnine, Charles Bronson, Jim Brown, John Cassavetes, and Donald Sutherland. Its intense action sequences made it a major success and a standout film of the era. On the 29th, Aretha Franklin's classic, Respect, was released. In golf, the Masters tournament took place. Roberto da Vicenzo won the tournament. However, famously, he signed an incorrect scorecard, which resulted in him being awarded second place instead of a playoff with Bob Golby. A lot was happening in technology. The ATS-3 satellite marked a significant advance in weather forecasting and communication. The Surveyor 3 probe landed on the Moon on the 20th. The the first Boeing 737 took its maiden flight. In mainstream fashion, the hippie movement began to make its presence felt. While still an underground trend, the influence of bohemian styles, including flowing dresses, floral prints, and ethnic-inspired accessories started to emerge. May 1967, and summer is on the rise. Elvis Presley married Priscilla Beaulieu on the first of the month in a secretive 8-minute ceremony at the Aladdin Hotel in Las Vegas. The wedding was tightly planned to avoid the media. The Six-Day War made big news in the USA. It was between Israel and neighboring Arab states and had significant implications for U.S. foreign policy and its relationships in the Middle East. In music, The Happening by the Supremes was a #1 hit in the middle of the month, while Groovin' by the Young Rascals began its ascent to the top of the charts. The Kentucky Derby, the first leg of the Triple Crown, saw Proud Clarion emerge as the winner. The 1967 Indianapolis 500 was famously dominated by Parnelli Jones in the revolutionary STP Paxton turbo car, but with just 3 laps remaining, a $6 transmission bearing failed. A.J. Foyt seized the lead and claimed his third Indy 500 victory. The United States continued its efforts in the space race, with events like the launch of Lunar Orbiter 4. In June 1967, upcoming vacations were in people's minds. The 12th saw the landmark Loving versus Virginia Supreme Court ruling, legalizing interracial marriage and marking a major civil rights victory. The 25th saw the first global TV show, The Our World broadcast. The Beatles performed All You Need Is Love live via satellite and watched by over 400 million people worldwide. The 1967 U.S. Open golf tournament was won by Jack Nicklaus. He set a new U.S. Open scoring record of 275, finishing 4 strokes ahead of Arnold Palmer at Baltusrol Golf Club in Springfield, New Jersey. The Monterey Pop Festival helped to propel artists like Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, and The Who into the mainstream. The Carol Burnett Show debuted, becoming one of the most beloved variety shows in TV history. The development of ARPANET, the precursor to the Internet, was well underway. While not for public use, the groundwork laid in 1967 was critical. In fashion, floral headbands, tie-dye, and fringe became popular festival wear, and this look began to permeate everyday style. We hope you enjoyed this video, so why not watch part 2, which is now available? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, as this helps us make more content and keep you updated on our next video presentations. We look forward to seeing you soon, and it's goodbye from us until we meet again.